Everyone. Welcome to our town hall. This is part of a regular series of meetings that we're having sponsored or through NPCA. It was originally started due to a generous grant by Madison, the volunteers of Madison, Wisconsin. And essentially the idea is for affiliate groups to get together and share their stories, share their recent successes and challenges, and to get additional information from the NPCA. So thanks to everyone who has filled out the survey. I believe we got about 10 questions related to the survey. Let me just pull that up. Do you have it handy, Anne?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Oh, I just found it. And so what we asked in general was for survey respondents to introduce themselves, talk about their group successes, challenges, and what their needs are. And so tonight, just to start off, I would like to have everyone go around and just introduce yourself and your country of service. And then I'll call on the people who have filled out the survey to just talk about what their group has been up to and success of the group recently. And so from then on, we'll talk about challenges. We've noticed a particular trend in the survey. So we'd all like to discuss attracting members. And then we will open the conversation to include sharing items that you need from NPCA and anything else that you would like to talk about. So why don't we go ahead and just introduce ourselves. I can call on people based on how I see your screens at the top. I have someone called TCDC. Would you be able to tell us your name and your group?
Yeah, hi. My name is Tom Cooney. I'm with the Los Angeles chapter, the RPCV LA chapter, and I was in Micronesia from 1993 to 95, and I just joined the local chapter about 2 months ago. So this is all relatively new to me. So this is really helpful.
Thanks so much. Welcome, Corey.
Yeah, Corey. My name is Kathleen Corey, but I use my last name as my first. I'm sorry I don't have a video, but for some reason I'm having a problem with my computer, which is kind of in and out. I was in Liberia 75 to 79, country director twice, once in Sri Lanka in the mid 90s and in Macedonia, regional director for Asia Pacific.
And are you?
When it existed. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm the president of Women of Peace Corps Legacy. I apologize. That's the most important part.
Great, thank you. Jesse.
Yes, yeah, my name is Jesse Bailey. I served in Morocco 07 to 09. I'm part of the Return Peace Corps Volunteers of Washington, D.C.
Don?
Hi, I don't know if you can see me or not. I can hear what you were saying.
Oh, sorry.
This is John Kofer.
Great.
Did you ask me to speak? I don't know.
I went for Don, but I mumbled, so John is great.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead,
please,
John.
John, continue.
I can't get my, oh, here's the video going. Okay. All right. So you want me to speak or Don?
Please, John Kofer, introduce yourself and your group.
Okay. I can see I'm not very well lit up now, but anyway, I'm John Kofer. I'm the membership chairman in Return Peace Corps Volunteers of Los Angeles. And I served in Samoa from 1978 to 71. And what else?
Thank you. That's perfect.
Okay.
Okay, Don Drack.
Hi, everybody. I'm Don Drock. I was a Peace Corps in Liberia, 1971 to 73. And I'm with Friends of Liberia, also with Peace Corps Community for Refugees. This meeting's already been useful to me because I met you, Corey, about a year ago and have been meaning to get in touch with you, and now here you are. I look forward to talking with you some more.
And I have your card sitting on my desk for a year.
Okay, well, here we are.
Wonderful. Mr. Greg Jones.
Hi, I'm Greg Jones. I served in Nigeria from 66 to 68, and I'm with Friends of Nigeria, and we're meeting the day before the NPCA meeting in Austin on June 20th. So that's our big focus at this point.
Jean Parcher.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. I'm Jean Parcher, and I served in Costa Rica from 1980 to 83. And I'm currently the president of the Northern Virginia Return Peace Corps Volunteers. So I'm looking forward to the meeting. So
Thank you very much. Kevin Elliott with HUD.
Hi everyone. Sorry, I don't have a video. I'm at work here. We don't have that kind of technology at HUD. I served in Uzbekistan in 2001. We were evacuated after September 11th, and I was reassigned to Bulgaria from 2000 to 2004. I also worked as a recruiter for Peace Corps in Los Angeles, actually, from 2006 to 2011. And right now I'm the president of the RPCVs at HUD. We've been around now for maybe 2 years, I think, officially. So we're starting to gain traction, and it's been fun.
Lots of synergies here. Christina Wen.
Hi everyone, this is Christina, and I served in Cameroon from 2010 to 2012, and I'm currently president of the Return Peace Corps Volunteers of Los Angeles, so nice to see my colleagues John and Tom on the call.
Wow, strong representation, thank you. Nicole Allen.
Hi, good evening everyone. Nicole Allen, I was in Ethiopia from 2009 to 2013. I'm currently board director for NPCA representing the Northeast region and a member of CT RPCVs.
Thanks. I have a, where is it, a 202-812-1000 number.
Hi, that's me. My name is Clark Burrell, and I was up in Peace Corps in Cameroon from 2014 to 2016, and I'm currently the Professional Development Director for RPCVW, and it's my first year on the board.
Welcome. And then, let's see. Don't think
we got everybody else except Kevin. Not Kevin Elliott. We've heard from Kevin Elliott. The other Kevin. Go ahead, Kevin.
This is Kevin. Hello, Kevin Blosfeld. I was Ukraine 2015-2017, and I am here as the president of the RPCV Alliance for Ukraine.
Thanks. And we also have Ann on the line, myself, and our chairman of the board, Mari Carmen, who also used to be affiliate group coordinator. So let's move on to our program here with the first part of our survey, group success stories. Now, if you weren't able to fill out the survey, I'll invite you to share information about your group after we call in some people. Do we have Ann Seitz on the call? Nope. Okay, why don't we go to you, Jean Parcher of NOVA. You can tell us a little bit about your group and what you've been up to.
okay, thank you, Mariko. So NOVA RPCV, we started, gosh, I think it's about 6 years ago. And, you know, we're a smaller group outside of Washington, D.C. And we're actually, I would say our population of most of our group is much older, close to retirement. So, you know, kind of I don't want to call it a slow start, but, you know, we focus more, I think what really brought us together is doing a lot of community service. And we actually have a wonderful person, Erica Bogici, that's been leading up our community service. And so one of the events that, is really popular is in Reston, where many of us are located at Reston, Virginia, is they have a multicultural festival every year. And so we signed up to do a booth, and the booth has to be more than just, saying, wah, 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 Peace Corps, this is, Peace Corps is great, sign up for Peace Corps, So, we promote Peace Corps there, we promote our group, but what we did is we did a map. We bought a huge map of the world. And since it's a multicultural festival, we had different pins, different colors based on whether you're whether you immigrated from this country, another color, whether you're a Peace Corps volunteer in that country or know somebody that was a Peace Corps volunteer. And so you could put the pin in the right country, or where your parents or ancestors are from, or where maybe you've traveled. And so that became really successful. And actually the whole multicultural festival said, wow, we want you to come back every year. So this year, what we added to it was what we called a future Peace Corps volunteer phone booth. So one of our members, Sarah Holtz, designed just like a wooden frame, actually not wooden, I think it's cardboard, that you could hold up in front of the kids that came by. The kids, we had to, ask them their parents, if they wanted to get their picture taken. And in this, they could also put on big sunglasses. They could put on, some sort of like scarf from the country, or a pail, or a hat that we had like for different props. And then around the frame, it said, future Peace Corps volunteer. And it also had a way, a different tweet handles that you could, use. So the parents took the pictures. If they allowed us, we would take the picture. And so we would post it. But, all the times the kids' faces were, they were not viewable. So, with the sunglasses or something, unless the parents took the picture, then we let them do what they wanted to do. And we asked them all to tweet it. And it was really, really successful. And the kids had a blast. And it's another way to really promote Peace Corps. So, we're just, we're getting more involved with our PCVW with social events. And we're doing one this Sunday, a hike and a winery. Where at the winery, we're going to actually have a talk about global warming from somebody that was trained by the Climate Reality Project. So I would say, we're trying to balance here in DC, or I would say in Reston or Virginia, the busyness of everybody with, events that people would like to come to. We have a general meeting every quarter and a speaker, so that it's not overwhelming, but it's also trying to bring in more of the population than just the retirees. So I don't remember what I wrote as a success, but that's what I'm going to say right now. So thank you.
Yeah, that's great. That is what you wrote as a success.
Oh, good.
Anyone, in general, if anyone wants to chime in or ask a few questions, just feel free to raise your hand or cough or say something, and I'll pass the floor. Okay. So next, Greg Jones. Could you comment on Friends of Nigeria?
Well, Friends of Nigeria is largely retired. And one of our big issues is keeping track of people as they kind of ride off into the sunset. But it's generally been 50 or more years since we've been in Nigeria. And we still are able to find worthy causes to support in Nigeria. And over the last 10 years, we've had a doubling of our contributions in addition to dues. And we send that money on to either health and welfare projects in Nigeria, or micro lending, or there are folks, there's a particular nurse who goes back and does clinics in the area, and we supply medical supplies for her efforts. So we're an elderly group, but we're still in there.
Lot done. Did you do you have a group that you work with on the micro lending project?
There are well, there's one primary group that does micro lending. They also do health and computer training. They're a group that ranges widely in their interests depending upon where there have been issues in the general society there. They're in the middle belt, so they've got situations where there's ethnic violence going on, and they respond to that. Unfortunately, their main micro-lending efforts were set back a lot 2 elections ago when there was post-election violence, and they twice, separated by 6 months, had the marketplace burned down. And you can imagine the guts that it took for people to reestablish their business after being burnt out once. A second time, I don't know that I'd ever be able to do that, but it set the micro-lending program back quite a bit.
Wait, we have a comment from, yes, Anne.
Yeah, one quick follow-up on that. One of our other affiliate groups that just became an affiliate group of NPCA that's been active for years is TCP Global. And that's exactly what they do, is what you're talking about, is micro lending. And they're actually looking for affiliate groups and individuals to recommend local NGOs in country that they could support through microloans. They have the funds, they have the support, they just need the network to help them expand this program into other countries, into other parts of the world. So I will type their URL in the chat. And also, we just had a webinar with them last week, and so I'll also put in the link to that webinar, and you could watch that. It talks about the program, and contact Helene Dudley. She's in charge of that, and she would love to help expand this microloan program to other parts of the world. She'd love to work with affiliate groups, so I will share that.
And also, is it Kevin Blasfeld, did the Ukraine group also work with TCP Global? Is that true?
We've had conversations, but not at this time. That said, it's a very attractive means forward.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I thought you had mentioned something about that before.
Yeah, no worries.
Let's move on to Friends of Liberia.
Hi, thank you, Mariko. Friends of Liberia is, we've been around for almost 40 years. We were started in 1985, principally as a, I guess, an alumni association for the Return Peace Corps volunteers in touch. During the Liberian Civil War, that mission changed pretty drastically when we became a strong advocate on behalf of Liberia, mainly here in the United States and in the Congress, when Liberia was sort of at risk of being ignored by the United States. Since then, and this is since the early 2000s, our focus has been on education because, and I should say, our focus is almost exclusively on service to Liberia these days. And in particular in education. Our current project, which is going quite well, we've had a 3-year pilot and moving into full implementation of a family literacy initiative, which we're doing in partnership with Hippie International, which is not the hippies we know from the 1960s, but home instruction for parents of preschool youngsters out of Israel. And the We Care Foundation in Liberia. We Care Foundation is a Liberian nonprofit. They implement the program. Our job is really just to help facilitate. It's really their program. So that's our major program, and so far very successful. We've been lucky to get almost $500,000 in funding, largely from the Open Society Foundations and other smaller donors. We have about 2,000 members, which is pretty good. I'd say maybe 75 are active, but nonetheless, we have those other people out there who do support us in different ways. Our membership is not just Peace Corps. We have missionaries, former missionaries, academics, development workers, librarians, family members of those people, and so forth. Two of our biggest successes recently have been, in the last 6 years, developing and actually using a strategic plan. We're in our second iteration of the plan, and we found it really helpful to really guide our work. And the second one relates to some issues that have come up already in terms of an aging population. Our board is not quite as aging as it was before, because one of our successes is that we've been able in the last 2 or 3 years to get younger, and by that I mean people under 50, under the board. But we are getting more recent RPCVs, people in their late 20s and 30s onto the board and onto our committees. And that's a big challenge. That was one of the things I noted as a challenge, not just how to get them, but how to keep them.
Were you successful in receiving a PCR volunteer, or was that a different project?
That we did get a PCR. Well, we did have one, but then it didn't work out because some administrative snafu.
Oh, rats.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have Therese Maineri on the call? And if not, Nicole, are you able to talk to what the Connecticut RPCVs mentioned something about their board of directors being really capable?
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with the comments that she made. Did you say capable?
Capable, like she just said that there's a really strong board.
No, I can't really speak to that. I'm not on the board for the CT RPCV. I do know that they're in a transition phase, though, like a lot of boards looking for new membership. And I know a couple people are going to be leaving the board in the near future. But I'm glad to hear that that's a success that they're reporting. So.
Yeah. Let's move on to Corey, Women of Peace Corps Legacy.
Right. Thank you, Mariko. Let me just ask, right now, you want a description of what we do, or what our successes are?
Yes, just a general description and then a success.
We're a group that's been going for about 7 years or so. It started by Jody Olson to bring women of Peace Corps who have come back to work on projects that will empower women and girls domestically and around the world. Can you hear me, Mariko?
Yes, there's seems to be an iPhone that might be not muted.
Oh, is that me? Could that be me?
I don't think so, because it's your name.
It's somebody else who joined late, and we'll get to you in a second to introduce yourself, but maybe the iPhone could mute because there's a little bit of background noise.
Okay. Hi, iPhone. I see your name. Anyway, sorry about that. So we support women's groups around the world who are in favor of women's empowerment. So we try to connect returned Peace Corps volunteers and volunteers who are in the field right now, working on projects for women's empowerment, connecting all kinds of different groups together, getting people to know one another, and hopefully with synergy be able to advance our cause, which is to further women's empowerment domestically and internationally. And I would say probably our biggest success of this past year, we've had the challenge that we are a very gray group. And we thought that the only way we were going to really have some traction was to mobilize younger people. And so through an effort of just these last few months, we decided that we have a board of directors. Well, not board of directors. We have an advisory board of about 10 women Carrie Hessler Radlett, it used to be Jody, a number of people who have been around Peace Corps forever. Is the 10 of us invite younger women, but men, if we could think of people who would be interested in it, to a gathering which we had actually at the Peace Corps office. We ended up with about 30 young people, told them about our mission, told them about what we wanted to do, told them about the programming that we have in support of women and girls empowerment, and asked them, would they be interested in joining us, and how would they be interested in joining us? And out of that, we have a list of 30 young people who are some recently returned, some returned after a while, who have now picked up the mantle, and they're picking up a lot of our activities that will send us forward in a way that we couldn't have done with just the 10 of us. Many of us are retirees, and so, you know, limited time, and we tended to be just talking to one another, and we decided we really needed to expand social media. So now we've got an Instagram, we've got a Facebook, we've got a web page, we've got social activities that are in parks and in bars, and we just found that by bringing in the younger people and asking them to join us and to take over a lot of the functions, once we got them kind of enthralled in helping women and girls empowerment around the world, that they picked up a lot of the effort. And I think now, and I'll let you know next time we talk, but I feel right now that we are expanding our membership.
We lost you there for a second.
That's it.
Okay, Corey, what do you, if you were to think about the keys to your success, how did these 30 people come to join you? Is there anything in particular that you thought was you know, the linchpin to making this happen?
And I'm very much apologizing, Mariko. My computer, it keeps saying, you know, you're having a hard time supporting this program, but so I may be in and out. But pretty much the 10 of us who have been meeting for a long time over the last 5 years, off and on. I just came on. Sorry, that's my phone. There, that's off. I just came on a year ago. When Jody became the Peace Corps director, she had to give up the presidency, and she asked me if I would take it over. So I've only been on about a year, and involved only for about a year. And we all agreed we needed younger people, and we needed to be more vibrant and more up to date. And so the 10 of us all invited young people that we thought might be interested in joining us. I invited a lot of the volunteers when I was country director in Sri Lanka and in Macedonia, invited volunteers I knew who were in the area who I thought would be interested, who had worked on women's and girls projects with GLOW and different Girls Leading Our World in different projects that I was involved in. And so every single one of us did that. We invited young women that we thought might be interested out of the RPCV community. And we had an event where we hosted this big event of 30 people where we described what we are, what we do, what we want to do, how we want to be more current. And then after that hour-long presentation, we broke in, we just said, okay, we're done in this building. Let's go to a restaurant bar down the road. And we went, and all 30 people broke up in just, you know, accidentally into different groups where they were able to learn a little bit more. And out of that, what became both informational and social night came a lot of interest in joining us and picking up a lot of the work, the goals, the objectives. We had a strategic plan. We laid it out. We said, this is where we want to go. We don't have enough people. And we just need your energy and your insights and how we can go forward. And it's just been surprisingly successful because we needed new blood. And I feel like right now, and again, this was just from the end of January, February, we started this. So I will let you know at some point if in fact we've gone forward. But right now we've got a Facebook and an Instagram that we didn't have two months ago. We have social activities we didn't have 2 months ago. We have programming for the whole year with the wealth shared around on the Day of the Girl Child and International Women's Day and Violence Against Women. We have 3 big programs for each of those events with people helping us. And then we have a it's called the Deborah Harding Award. So we honor a woman who has done a lot for women's empowerment, girls' empowerment at the Peace Corps Connect. We have that every year. And we just, thanks to the younger group, now are going to give an award to the Emerging Leaders Award. So it's not just Deborah Harding, which is people who have been out there and contributed significantly over their lifetime, but we are now doing an Emerging Leaders Award as well, which we hope to introduce at the Society for International Development. So a lot of these ideas and a lot of this effort comes from getting the younger people involved and interested in what we're doing.
Thank you. Yeah, we get a thumbs up from Christina Wen, who says, agree with the power of personal invites. That's how Christina also got onto the board, and other members as well.
Yeah, it's just, you know what, there was no, we kept sending out stuff, and unless you know people and you can inspire them to join you, it's that one-on-one that is, for us, that was the way that we were able to step over a barrier.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Let's move on to PCVs of LA. Would any of the 3 of you be interested in talking a little bit about your group and what you've been up to and your successes so far?
This is Christina. More than happy to chat. So yeah, just banking on the power of personal invites again. So I remember when I first moved to Los Angeles, I just was interested in, getting to know people. So I went to a Peace Corps Los Angeles event. It was just a happy hour. And I met some board members and they were just talking to me about how they love, they held theirs about events here and there, maybe once a month. And I said, if you ever need help planning one, more than happy to. It was just happenstance and talking. And then the board member, again, actually reached out to me over email and said, hey, would you actually be interested in putting on a happy hour? I did. And then at that happy hour, they said, hey, you should think about coming out to board. And then so I ended up joining. So I just want to kind of reiterate how important I think that personal touch is. So Return Peace Corps Volunteers of Los Angeles. Again, we're kind of your regional group. And we have events maybe every 1 to 2 months. It could be community service, or it could be a happy hour and kind of a social event. We also have a couple annual events that we do every year. One is our annual holiday party, and that's just, Peace Corps volunteers coming together usually at somebody's house in a potluck style. And then we also have in the fall our major annual international dinner, and that can bring out anywhere from 80 to 200 volunteers. And what we like to do there is we like to honor a local hero. So maybe it's a nonprofit leader in the community. We like to give them an award, and it's a potluck. Everybody comes out, there's a happy hour, and we also do a silent auction. And what the silent auction does, it raises money for our Yamanaka Fund. And this was a fund that was started by a Peace Corps volunteer's family, and she was on the board of our PCVLA, but unfortunately passed away. So her family kind of started this fund, and then we've kept it going in order to raise money for current Peace Corps projects. So what will happen is that Peace Corps volunteers, wherever they're serving, if they have some connection usually to maybe they lived in Los Angeles or they went to school here, they'll send us in an application, and then we can actually fund their project through a PCPP. So yeah, that's kind of what we've been doing. And I think just kind of going on, I think we talked a little bit about elections and getting board members. Something that was really helpful for us is, I think my first year when I joined, we had the elections, but we didn't fill all of the slots. And I think that can be hard just because people show up, they may not know what the annual meeting is about, and people are kind of hesitant to make that commitment to board. And then so we got into that position where it was like, okay, president, who wants to be president? And of course there was silence. And then so what happened was some of the older volunteers ended up negotiating with each other, like, okay, well, if I'm president and you're, then maybe we can be co-vice presidents and you can help out with this and that. And then so what happened this past year was that we kind of flipped it during elections, and we literally just, after people showed up, we said, okay, here are all the positions. Let's just run down and describe all of them, and we'll go around the room, and people can say what you're interested in. So somebody might say, oh, I could be secretary, but I could also help out as treasurer. And then so we literally just went around and just threw names up. And if we saw like 2 people want to be secretary, but nobody was there for, say, like treasurer, then like we could split amongst ourselves and fill in. And I feel like that was very low stress for people. And a lot of times people just want to show up and say, I can help out with whatever, I'm not sure. So instead of going down by the positions one by one, we just said like, all right, here's everything available. People say like where they want to fill in. And sometimes people would do 2 positions if they wanted out of interest. So with that way, we actually were able to fill all of our board positions, which I don't think it happened in history, speaking to the other board members. So yeah, that was really, really helpful.
Thank you. I see John is laughing about this. Any further comments? No? Okay, so we did have some guests join on the phone. I think we might continue to the rhythm of this, and then I'll ask you to introduce yourselves in a moment. But for now, let's move on to RPCVW. Jesse or Clyde?
Clark, yeah, I can speak to that. Yeah, so RPCVW, we're going to be celebrating our 40th anniversary this year as well, and we're one of the largest groups, being here in DC. We do a lot of events per year. 2 main events of our barbecue, which is about maybe 100 or so people these last few years, and the holiday party of maybe 200. And we've got a lot of events. We have a board. We have a 13 person board, and several of those people do events. So we do about maybe 4 or 5 events actually a month. So we're able to do a variety of things. Let's say successes for us recently is a little while ago we changed our board year, so it's a calendar year. And I would say that one of our successes is that we got a really quick start. So we started in January, and we had our first board meeting like the January 3rd, and we're kind of off and running. And something that's new and sort of exciting for us is we have a new position of analytics director. So we got somebody to sort of look into the data of our membership and trying to work with us to better understand our members, what they're interested in, profiles, trying to do better programming. Something that we've done for a long time is we offer a first year free membership. So we get a lot of people who sign up for that, but the conversion rate for those who start paying is kind of low. And here in DC, with a fairly transitory group, I'd say we get a lot of people who come back fairly recently, and they get engaged with us for a little bit, but then they kind of move on and settle down and disengage with us. So we're trying to work on membership engagement, keeping people engaged for years at a time.
And Jean mentioned that you have some shared activities. Could you comment on, how your 2 groups are working together?
Yeah, so we have in the last year or so started to share with the Nova group, since they're very close by physically, of doing some few joint happy hours or a few community service events in Northern Virginia that would be generally fairly close to DC, and a way for us to, work together on a few of those events that are a little closer. Our memberships tend to be on the much younger side, so trying to coordinate within sort of the metro region is helpful for trying to get our groups to work together, find places that work for both groups.
Because of transportation and such.
Yes.
We have a question from Corey to talk a little bit about RPCVW's mentorship program.
Yes, so that's one of the things that we have the last several years. We have a mentorship program where we work with groups. As I said, we have a lot of younger members who are looking help professionally, and we do have members of all different ages and backgrounds. And the last few years, how it's worked is it's been broken down into sort of two cohorts of about 4 months a year, where we do a pairing between ideally one-on-one for mentorship, but sometimes there's more younger people that want mentoring than we have mentors at times. So sometimes it's not that ratio, but for a 4-month time, having a cohort of people to work together, and then we offer a second cohort later in the year with some oftentimes same mentors, but new mentees that are looking to get their career started and get some advice.
Any other questions for Jesse?
Hi, this is Jean. I just wanted to make a comment, and thank you, Jesse, for a great presentation. And you've been very instrumental at helping us work together. But on this mentor program, Randy Adams and your mentor lead, Lisette.
Lizette, yes.
They just did a training program that several of us were at. So I want to say, like with Nova RPCV, we don't need to reinvent what already our PCVW is doing. We can just say, okay, we're available here in Northern Virginia to do mentoring. And the other thing that the happy hours and some of the events have brought together is not only RPCVW, but Nova RPCV, but also the affinity groups from like HUD, State Department, EPA, USAID, because we're all in the same region and people live all over this metro area, whether you're in, Maryland, Washington, or Virginia. So it's great working with you all together, and I appreciate the energy that our PCVW has, and it's great. So,
this is Corey. Can I just jump in? Is that okay with this format?
Sure.
Okay, I apologize because this is my first time. I'm not really familiar with the format. But what one of the things with the Women of Peace Corps Legacy, one of the things we're very keen to do is to mentor. We've got a number of women who have, some pretty interesting careers, and we would very much like to mentor. And we had a long talk about, do we do our own thing? And somebody talked about your group, the RPCVW's mentoring program, because it's so organized and so you're just better than anything we've seen, to be honest with you. And so I would like to meet with somebody who is in charge of that. I know that Lee Lacey, who's on our advisory board, and Megan Donahue are very interested in getting a synergy going between you guys and us guys, because we have the women who are interested, and I think you've got some of the people who would like to be mentored, and we just think you guys have done such a great job that we would love to be associated with you and offer our services as well, and be part of something that we think would be really valuable.
Great. Thank you very much. I can put you in touch with Lizette about that for the next cohort and the cohorts going forward. That would be really good.
Well, that's great. So hats off to you for organizing such a great. No, it's just known as being really very well done.
And I'll jump
Thank you very much.
This is Anne. They are doing a great job with that mentoring program, and some other groups, even country of service groups, have done mentoring programs as well. And so that might be another a topic for a future webinar if there's interest, to kind of share some of those best practices and how do you do a mentoring program and how do you keep people connected, and what are the tools and resources. So it's a great program, and as Jean said, let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's just share some of those best practices. So if there's interest, we can get that done too.
It helps being here in the DC area. There's so many actual subgroups in the area. So it's something I think in the last few years we've been getting a little bit better at reaching out, awareness of the other groups, to try to cross collaborate here in DC with some of the other groups and create that synergy.
Yeah. Well, in the interest of getting everyone a chance to speak, would Kevin Elliott like to present on HUD?
Hi again, everyone. Yeah, so our HUD group, we're a national group, so we don't have the opportunities really for socializing and kind of bringing everyone together as much as we would like. We certainly do that within the individual offices. We have a large presence in DC, as you can imagine. And I know they've been getting a lot of happy hours and just different lunches and trying to get together. I'm the president, but I'm actually based in Boston. So what I've been doing is kind of coordinating our approach towards hiring our PCVs and promoting non-competitive eligibility. We've had, we've kind of been working on this and just trying to figure out who in the department can kind of help us advance this goal. And I think we finally happened upon someone, a guy named Larry Koskinen. He's in our Office of Risk Management. He worked for Peace Corps for a while. I worked with Jody actually. So he's been a great contact for us, a strong advocate, and we've just been trying to get hiring managers throughout the country on board with this. We've attended a couple of career fairs and developed a flyer to kind of walk managers through the pitfalls of non-competitive eligibility, trying to navigate all that stuff. And yeah, that's kind of been our main focus for about the last year, as well as just kind of encouraging the different field offices to get together and socialize.
Thank you. Let's go to the other Kevin of Ukraine.
Hello. If my headphones die halfway through this, please someone shout me down. If we're speaking to successes, I'll somewhat describe the structure that I put forth and that we built the board around pursuing over the last going on 2 years now of what we're calling regional coordinators around the country and in different areas of the world, actually. We've got representation in 7 to 9 regions by way of building interest in certain local areas. And we've gone and defined what those areas are to be. Northeast, Southwest, somewhat of a typical structure that you would think about the country, but also Eastern Europe, where we hail from, as well as Central Europe and beyond. We had done a lot of what was spoken to earlier by Women of Peace Corps Legacy and Corey there, word of mouth and direct line of sight recruitment, talking to people that we know, getting them abreast of the ideas involved and what we're trying to accomplish. This Sunday, actually, we're having one of our first regional coordinators or new regional coordinator trainings. And it'll be interesting to see what comes of this whole structure that we put forward as a way to have a country of service group be able to spread geographically and work locally rather than just attract people to what is
shared values. So I hear my headphones dying, so I'll stop now. But there we are.
Thanks, Kevin. So we have a few people online. I see 3 telephone numbers, an iPhone, and Dominic Ellis. So why don't we start with Dominique and then go to the iPhone and then the 3 telephone numbers.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes. Are you Dominique?
I am actually Dominique, so I wasn't able to figure out how to work all this, so I phoned in. Hello, everyone. I'm the advocacy board member for the Philadelphia Peace Corps, and really excited to just connect with other people and been listening to everyone's advice. I know that for our group, there has been a really big shift in the last year. I've been on board for 1 year, and there was a pretty big turnover, I would say. And so kind of just understanding the new flow of how things are working. There are 2 members that have been on for a long, long time. And I think the things that I'm kind of seeing with our group is the shifts of the generations, how communication kind of is dispersed, and I think that's pretty interesting. Trying to understand if Instagram and ways of communicating is, you know, important to our member base. Facebook seems to be the main way, along with email blasts for our website. And common things that I would say are our holiday party and our annual picnic that we do. The happy hours are monthly, and I would say the picnic's probably our biggest event that we do with turnout, usually in June. And I'm really interested in learning more about the mentoring as well. So I think that's the thing that I think we hear, whether it be mentoring of some of the things that you guys talked about already, but also mentoring in the specific roles that each of us have. I'm hoping to come down to DC to really connect with, you know, more of the advocacy role, to really have a stronger communication with those who are also active in that role in the different groups.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we have just 5 minutes left. Can we hear from the person labeled iPhone?
Hello, can
Hello?
you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, actually, my name is not iPhone. My name is Tamil Tadla. I'm a recent returned Peace Corps volunteer from Ethiopia. I recent new board member for Boston area returned Peace Corps volunteer bar PCV, speaker chair, third goal. I just wanted to share you the recent activities with the Peace Corps, the bar PCV, the Boston area. One of the visits, the director, the Peace Corps director, Judy Olson, visited the Boston area last month, March 27. After that, the biggest activity, success activity in our members is we had a grant. We have a $500. We just wanted to a competition. Whoever wanted to write it their grant. We just this person, and we're gonna give them that money in upcoming Friday. The other activity we also part of is for Boston Marathon, the Peace Corps return Peace Corps volunteers around Boston area. We try to organize the Boston area, the Boston Marathon. That's a bigger activity recently we are doing. Yeah, that's all I have.
Thank you very much. And we have one more person in a 215 telephone number.
The 215, I think, was Dominique, but there's a 401, which is Rhode Island.
Right, so there's a 401 then.
Yes, hi, that's me. My name is Tamara Berman. I am with the Rhode Island Return Peace Corps Volunteers. So we are at this really great place with our group, in that traditionally it's just been kind of an informal, organized group for many, many years that we're doing a lot of social activities. So just as of late, we had taken nominations and formed an official executive board and have been voting on bylaws, and we're in the process of creating specific committees, and we're having our annual meeting. Well, we'll call it an annual meeting. The last time we had it was 2017, and that's kind of where a lot of this work around like a board formation and kind of reinvigorating some excitement around formalizing the group had stemmed from. So successes have been that we continuously do a lot of like smaller social events throughout the state, and then as well as like annual cleanup and our meetings. That's it.
Does anyone have any questions or comments thus far? Okay.
Sure, this is Clark. I was wondering if I can have a go also. I'm just one of the phone numbers on there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, great. Oh, thanks for hosting the call. And I'm the professional development director for RPCVW, and it's my first year on the board, really enjoying it. Building off on what Jesse said, I think on the communication side, we have a really vibrant Facebook group, which enables us to have high turnout at events and like engage with people. In terms of professional development, my focus this year has been around career panels and workshops. And for example, last month hosted a career panel at Peace Corps headquarters, focused on careers in international development. And that way people can come to the event and learn about careers in international development. And other types of workshops focus around such as like developing your professional narrative or around resume review. So very professional development oriented events, and have been able to get good turnout for those events and really kind of building off of prior successes from previous directors. So happy to answer any questions or connect with people around that.
Thanks so much. So I noticed that we're at time right now. I hope we could run a little bit over. If people aren't able to stay, please feel free to drop off. We were going to talk about our challenges thus far. And I think we've covered it a little bit in some of our conversations in terms of challenges recruiting new members, challenges trying to get people to step up into leadership. Some of the tips and tricks that were mentioned were having a large recruitment event, such as Women of Peace Corps Legacy, where there's a presentation of a program. People are invited based on individual personal invitations. And also we talked a little bit about the relationship between NOVA and RPCVW, leveraging the strengths of another organization in order to build together. In previous conversations with groups, we've come across difficulties with reaching out to currently serving Peace Corps volunteers in order to have some of these in order to do some of the funding and the PCPP. I was wondering if RPCV LA could talk about how you get people to apply for the grant. Like, what is your outreach strategy for that?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. I mean, that is actually a challenge that we have as well, because sometimes like we will do fundraisings, but it's not like we are raising for a specific thing. We're raising for a fund, and it all just depends on if somebody sends us in an application or not. So actually, I think what we did last year, I mean, sometimes you have applications, but even sometimes too, we just had the funds, and then we actually went on to PCPP because they're all listed online, and we donated to them specifically. Like if somebody had a connection, like I serve in that country, or for example. One thing that we have been doing more so over the past is going to the Peace Corps sponsored send-off events and working with recruiters. So this year we actually had a designated person where we said, all right, you're going to be the specific contact for Peace Corps recruiters for all the universities. And then as they do these send-off events, we're able to go and then actually speak about RPCV LA to Peace Corps volunteers that are going abroad, that are from the LA community, and then to let them know like there is this fund available for you if you are going to be doing a project. So I think partnering with Peace Corps like sponsor events is a really, really crucial thing. But yeah, I would love to hear more ideas because that is something on our end that we're looking to as well, so we can more broadly advertise that these funds are available.
Yeah, I've heard I used to work at Peace Corps headquarters, and recruiters are often flying recruiters, so they have a territory, but not necessarily a base. And I think that they benefit a lot from help with local RPCV groups to give applicants and returnees and people being sent off a sense of what the community is. So yeah, that's a great thing to do. In addition, we have some friends of groups, which often are nationwide, and some location-specific groups. I know that the friends of groups often have difficulty getting together in a physical space. Has there been any interaction between friends of groups and their local groups in order to have events or to sort of benefit on the mutual strengths? Doesn't sound like too much. I recall a few years ago, Don, when RPCVW and Friends of Liberia had a presentation where we talked a little bit about the Ebola response that Friends of Liberia, among others, were supporting.
That's right. You've reminded me there, Mariko, that Friends of Liberia, even though we are spread out across the country, a lot of us, excuse me, a lot of us are here in Washington, and we did partner with RPCV Washington. I think it was when you were president on that. And also, I remember you were very helpful just over lunch one time, helping us find a pro bono attorney who we still use. So really? There are a lot of, yeah. There are a lot of benefits to, collab, especially with RPCV Washington. You guys, I think, are the single best group I've come across, and really, really valuable. So thank you.
Thanks so much. Well, I meant to suggest that, it might be possible through these town halls and, other places where we gather to find some synergies for groups like, Friends of Nigeria, Friends of Liberia, and local groups to have maybe events where we can showcase the kinds of programming that the Friends of groups do, which is very much close to, Peace Corps' impact response, and have the local groups help bring bodies into the room to really understand what those opportunities are.
Yeah, a couple of things that I've observed. This has been a great conversation, and great to hear some of the successes and the stories coming out of each of the groups. I think one of the things that we really like to encourage, and I've gotten a couple of ideas out of this, is just how to cross-pollinate these ideas, if you will, from from one type of group to another. And a couple of ideas that sparked, I'm sorry that Kevin had to get off from HUD. But when Clark was talking about the career panel, for example, we have 12 what we call workplace affinity groups. And these are return volunteers who are with State Department, USAID, HUD, EPA, et cetera. And they do work a lot around career type activities. Now, it's not just here in DC. I don't know, maybe the LA group would like to do a panel on career counseling or something like that, or working with the federal government would help use some of those workplace groups to help connect to some of those opportunities and talking about non-competitive eligibility and things like that. So, and then we have these cause-related groups. So, Women at Peace Corps Legacy, I know, would like to talk about women's empowerment. And I think one of the things that Corey mentioned to me separately, and I think was in her survey, was that how do they move outside the Beltway, and how to connect with other groups in other parts of the country. And so, talking about women's empowerment is an issue, or working with refugees, or also this microloan program. There are a number of groups that are coming together around causes. And I encourage you to spend a little time looking at our directory and our website too. And I do try to feature some of these groups in my monthly e-newsletters to groups. But there's a lot of synergies that can take place from different types of groups working together. And I'm very sensitive that a lot of the groups are outside the Beltway, and there's a lot can happen here because we're all here in DC, but we'd also like to make sure that happens in Boston and in Rhode Island and in LA and other parts of the country as well. Greg has been great in bringing Friends of Nigeria to the Peace Corps Connect conference each year, and they take advantage of that as an opportunity to bring together the folks who served in Nigeria and have their annual meeting. And I know that's been a good program for them. So that opportunity is there for all groups. You can just let us know you need space on and around the conference, and we'll help you find that. And one other thing I want to mention, I tried to get the other Kevin to mention it before his headphones died, but the one thing the Ukraine group has done is that they actually have an in-country advisory group as part of their board. So they also use our Zoom platform, and they connect with serving volunteers and others who are still in country and to maintain that connection. And I'm sure he'd be glad to answer questions about that as well. But that's another resource, an idea for the Friends of groups.
And if I could give a testimonial to that, after the last town hall, when Patrick Kelly talked about that in-country group in Ukraine, I talked to him more about that. And in Friends of Liberia, we're in the process of setting one up right now in Monrovia. And it's going to be a huge plus to us in terms of getting those Peace Corps volunteers while they're in service and as they're completing their service, at least to know about Friends of Liberia. So it was really, really helpful.
Has anybody tried looking at the Facebook sites run by Peace Corps field offices, like country offices? Because it seems like in some cases the various Peace Corps countries have to compete for applicants. And so some of them have very vibrant Facebook groups that detail what people are doing, where it might be possible to reach out depending on the country and how robust it is.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Well, let's see. We are 10 minutes over. And let's see, we have many, many comments here. So we had a suggestion from Christina to hear more about the kinds of board positions that other groups have created. In particular, she's interested in the analytics director position at RPCVW, where I'm just guessing here, it might be newsletter analytics and Facebook activity and that kind of thing, right, Jesse? No?
No, actually, it's not so much that. Actually, it's because it's through our membership database that we use. And so there's a lot of that stuff, but it's sort of in a bit disjointed in some different ways. So she's trying to tackle our membership through our website, and there's various tags, and there's a lot in there, and it's just very labor intensive. And so we realized we just needed somebody to really tackle it. Her day job is analytics, so this is what she does for a living. So trying to get into that and sort that out and figure out exactly how many members we actually do have, because as I said, we have a number of people who are free members, who are members for a while, and then their memberships lapse, but they're in our database. So just trying to get a better handle on who's actually our membership, as well as we do a lot of events, and we really encourage people to RSVP through our website. And we get that data, but that's a lot of data to look at. So we're trying to do the best to look at some of that to better understand who is showing up to what events, so that we can better plan in the future and have a better understanding of our group. As I said, it's fairly transitory, so we get people coming in and out, and just trying to figure out who those folks are and how to keep them.
Thank you. So I guess there's a variety of comments, including strategic plan. Friends of Nigeria is really interested in social media presence. Peace Corps Liberia Facebook is very active, according to Nicole. I'm a little bit concerned that people might be starting to drop off. But this has been such a vibrant conversation, and I think we've benefited from having different kinds of groups in one town hall talking about the various difficulties and success stories that groups have had and how we can help each other. So my question to you before we start signing off is, with these outstanding conversation topics, how can we build a social media presence? How can interest in strategic plans, the mentorship program, and different board roles, is this the kind of thing where we should have another town hall where we can bring up these topics specifically, or would you like to find the opportunity to connect offline, exchange information and all that? Like how, and what do you think? How should we move on from this?
I was just typing in there, actually. I'll stay on as long as people want to keep connecting. But I think there are some good questions here. This always happens whenever we have something like this. We get all these great questions right when we want to start wrapping up. But there's no definitive end time for this, but we do like to try to keep things to an hour because people do like to, they do have other things they need to do for their evening. So I think maybe there are a couple of specific questions here. Maybe we just deal with those questions, and then I know that people do need to start signing off, and that's fine. But I'm curious about Greg's questions about social media. If there's somebody that has any particular advice on the social media part.
Yeah, I could. In Friends of Liberia, we had the same problem, and it has to do actually with an aging board. It's related to that. We found two young volunteers. One of them was my daughter and a colleague of hers, who offered to do for us what they called a social media scan. They looked at the different, what I call the social media real estate that FOL owns. Facebook, we actually have a Twitter, we have an Instagram website, of course. But it wasn't very well coordinated. We weren't even sure how it was being used in some cases. So what they did was very simple, really. They really did an analysis of what we have, what we're doing with it, what we should be doing with, what we could be doing with it. And that really provides a blueprint now for someone within FOL to come in and take the lead on implementing that, starting moving forward. And I'd be happy to share that document with anyone, this social media scan they did. Greg, of course. And that leads to another question. How do we communicate with each other after this meeting?
Yeah.
Well, Jean was actually just asking if we could share contact information. I always like to get permission from people to share contact information.
Yep.
I'm happy to do that. Okay, I see a couple of thumbs up. Those who are showing your camera, if it's okay for me to share contact information. All right. Okay, I'm seeing a few there. Then I will share that information with folks. It looks like everybody is saying yes. Or anybody saying no?
That's socially awkward to admit to, though.
I'm still on. I have to make sure I don't share it for those who have dropped off at this point. But yes, it is very helpful. And the other thing is, on your each group has a group directory page on our website, and if your board members are listed there, it doesn't share your contact information, but you can email people through that. So if somebody dropped off the call and I'm not sharing their information, or you want to reach out to another group, you can go to that page, go to that individual on the page and click on that, and then send them an email. And you don't see the email address, but they get the email message, and then they can respond back to you.
Great. And do we have any existing webinars on social media?
We do, actually. We have webinar on social media. We have a couple webinars on strategic planning. So maybe what I can do real quick is share my screen with you all and show you where to find that on our website. Okay, so hopefully you're all seeing my screen.
Yep.
So under community, there's a section here for affiliate groups. And the directory I was just talking about, that's how to find all the affiliate groups. And you can update that yourself if you need to anytime. But the affiliate group network is the page that has the listings of all of the webinars. So let's see, Women of Peace Corps Legacy did one on violence against women, refugee group did one, Get Strategic Part 1 and Part 2, Get Social, there's your tips and tricks for engaging your members using social media. Building your database, how do you find those RPCVs that are missing? And another refugee one is here. Building an RPCV support network. So there's a lot of stuff here. Some of these are going back for a couple of years, but they're still extremely helpful. Legal considerations, getting nonprofit status. So I encourage you to check out some of these. All of these have recordings that are available to you by the website here.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all so much. I think we're at time right now, and we don't want to overtax you. Anne will send out the contact information to everyone who agreed to do so. And I want to thank you all for a really robust discussion. This was really great, and I loved hearing all of your stories.